Yeah, yes.
Yes, we have started. What's going on, guys? Welcome to another video. Thank you for joining me and Ken as we join in on another Break of the Base, episode 78. We're getting pretty consistent with this. Yes.
Yeah, we try to. As long as life cooperates with us, we'll be happy.
Yeah, you got a point.
Knock on the table quick. Hit that table.
For the 78th episode, we are going to go ahead and talk about one of our favorite superheroes in the Marvel Universe, Iron Man. We're going to not only talk about the cartoons, we're going to go into the comics, the movies, books. I would say games, but I'm quite sure Ken hasn't played them because I know I haven't really played any of them.
I've seen some, but I have not personally played any. Although the one I did see for the PlayStation 3 looked pretty good.
Oh, was that the one that was based off the movie?
Yes.
I think I did play. I think I did play part of it.
I've seen it.
But now that we go ahead and start this, I'm gonna go ahead and let Ken take it away because he does it a lot better than I do.
Oh, that's just I can read wiki easier. Let's see what do we got here. Let's tap back in the Wayback Machine back to March 1963. It's way back, people. For some of you, that's even before I was born. So that gives you an idea. Stan Lee and, of course, Jack Kirby, names you always hear in the Marvel Universe, especially Stan Lee, since he camos pretty much every movie that Marvel ever makes because he owns most of the rights to most of those characters. Mm-hmm. Well, sort of. There's still litigation going on about that, but we'll just go with that. But 1963, we're in the middle of the Cold War. We have a guy, and he is super mega smart. Tony Stark, who owns Stark Industries. And basically his company is basically weapons. That's what he does. He's a playboy. He's an alcoholic. He's pretty damn smart. He's one of the actual smartest characters in the Marvel Cinematic Universe and the Marvel Comic Universe, MCU, either way. And strangely, Black Panther is actually another one of those characters who's super mega smart next to Mr. Fantastic. They're like the top three, if you didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
Mm-hmm. So we have, he's been around since 1963. It's kind of an introduction to the Cold War for those who don't know what the Cold War is, and some of you probably do not know what the Cold War means. From 1947 until, gosh, about 2003 or 4. We were pretty much not on friendly terms with what used to be the USSR, the Soviet Union. And we were always at a stance of who's bigger, better, and badder. But over time, the relations got better and things kind of chilled out. And so they kind of technically considered the Cold War to go. But this comic was created at that time to bring out the, I guess, weapons and manufacturing, a guy who could go against the system, who was smart. If you ever heard of a character named Howard Hughes, he was actually a real man. Real smart guy, too. He built the Spruce Goose and several other very famous items. But he was an inventor, a billionaire, ladies' man, kind of basically like Iron Man, Tony Stark. So basically, he just kind of came out trying to be the hero, the single-eyed hero, and has been there ever since. Now, he did get in if you've watched the movies, which I think was, 2008? I think. Let me go look. Yeah, 2008. Yeah, Iron Man came out in 2008. One of the first Marvel movies to come out, really modernized Marvel movies to come out. That had Robert Downey Jr. playing him, and a lot of good characters, a lot of good people in the movie. But basically, you find out that Tony is kind of betrayed, and he ends up getting into a combat situation where he ends up having shrapnel embedded in his chest. And a guy that was there basically saved his life by basically kind of putting a super magnet on his chest, the metals and stuff from going into his heart and killing him. And that's kind of why you always see the symbol of Iron Man with the ring around his chest. As the movie develops, he basically creates what's called arc technology, or arc reactor technology, which is clean energy. But he uses that to power and save his own life, and eventually builds a body armor out of parts and pieces lying around him because he's really that smart, and ends up escaping and getting away. And kind of from that moment, he has that realization that building weapons and destroying and all this stuff isn't what he wants to do. And he gets that realization because of what happened to him. So he kind of goes on and says, I'm not going to do any more weapon technology. I'm not going to do this anymore. I've learned my lesson. I'm going to do stuff for the humanity, and a lot of people didn't agree with that and tried to take him out. And that's kind of where you have the original Iron Man movie. But in the long run, in the storyline, that's exactly what kind of goes on. He's always tinkering and playing around and learning and developing his character. But he has a, just like the real life character, Robert Downey Jr., who's probably one of the best fitting people next to Wolverine.
Yeah.
In his real life, he was a millionaire, playboy, alcoholic, substance abuses. He had, he basically, he's a pretty smart guy too, but he had a lot of the problems that, that fitted Tony Stark. I mean, literally, he looks like him in the comics. He had a real life like him. How you can't beat that with a stick. I mean, you can't put a character in there that fits him so well. And then as you go throughout the movies, which we'll talk about throughout this hour, he just fits the character so well, which was amazing. I mean, the casting was perfect for Iron Man.
Yeah,
and
that was one of the best. That's one of the best I've seen. I mean, Marvel has some really good casting, but Iron Man, like, he was born for that role.
I mean, literally, he fits the bill so well. It would be very difficult for me to see any other person playing him, and eventually at some point in time, though, we're going to see, I think he's got a contract for, I think his ends at the end of Infinity War 2.
That's what I thought.
If I remember right, which kind of, we'll be kind of winding down because there's a lot of stuff that if you read into the Marvel universe, there's a lot of things that go on. Iron Man ends up, or Tony Stark takes a lot of beating over what you saw in Civil War. The separation, the registration, and all that stuff. I mean, he ends up taking a real huge beating over it, and he's trying to kind of stand up for what he thinks is right. And in this case, we all know Captain America was his opposition, who really didn't see the need for that. But that's what we have is conflict. That's what makes stories. But
I want to ask this before we continue. We did talk about Batman. I want to know, do you think Iron Man is like Marvel's Batman?
Yes, absolutely. I'm pretty, Bruce Wayne, billionaire, playboy. His origin story is a lot different, though, where his parents got killed and it made him go to, doing what he does. And then in our story with Iron Man, something happens to him personally on a personal level that brings him to a realization of what his company's been doing, and him himself has been kind of endorsing that and living off of that. They're both extremely smart. Batman, again, being one of the smartest people in the DC universe. Tony Stark being one of the smartest persons in the Marvel universe. They both wear armor of some sort. Stark's is probably a lot more powerful than Batman's. But Batman is a little more skilled in using his wit, and he's trained in combat where Stark was not.
Yeah.
Stark relies on his technology, solely on his technology versus a lot of skill at this point. Now, we've seen that change throughout the movies.
Yep.
Because if you watch the movies and his fighting styles and things that he's done and learned, you see that it does improve and change, but he's still not, Bruce Wayne went through all this stuff. I mean, he went through martial arts and espionage and all this stuff, the League of Shadows, a lot of background stuff. So he's more hand-to-hand combatant with the brains and money to back it.
Yeah.
But as their equivalents, yes, they are each their equivalent in the DC and the Marvel universe, and as what they are. And so I kind of like, I've always kind of been, I always liked Batman because he was the only superhero without superpowers.
Not the only one, but he was the most prominent.
Yeah, and the most of the, when you see all the characters, you got Aquaman, all the JLA members, all of them are superpowered except for Batman.
Yeah.
You look in the MCU, you have most of those characters are all superpowered except Iron Man, who wears a body armor. So, I mean, very equivalent, I think, and that was their combat to, just going over the roof. excuse me, over the brief story that they were talking about. I mean, the characters were created completely different, although they are related. You know, the original construct of Jack Kirby's and Stan Lee's character was for a completely different purpose. Although, again, Batman is actually, I believe, quite a bit older than Iron Man. But the character frame, the structure of the characters is very similar, which is cool.
Yep.
You know, Batman's just more pissed, and you know, Iron Man's more smartass, which I liked. I like that.
Did you like it? Did you like the films?
Yes, I love the films. I wasn't really too hip on. I liked the first one.
Mm-hmm.
Let me go through my list here. I'm trying to work my way through all the films. I think it was 3, or no, 2. 2 I liked. There it is. Where the scene where they were in, I think it was Germany, and they were stealing the Loki was stealing the stuff, and the Iron Man, you know, they hadn't heard from Tony Stark, and he comes flying in playing what was the music he was playing? And he said he told Black Widow, "Miss me," and he comes in there and starts pounding on Loki, which was always kind of pretty cool. And he's also wearing the band shirt when he comes out of his armor.
Yeah.
You know, I liked it. I liked the character. I mean, I hadn't really any major complaints of any of the movies. I mean, I was glad to see War Machine come in there too.
Yeah.
Which was another a fan favorite of War Machine. 3 was more of, again, having one of those life lessons. You know, he's basically suffering from PTSD from dealing with our not Civil War, but the Avengers movie itself. And you know, he's dealing with the fact that, you know, what he did, self-sacrifice, something he's never done before.
Yeah.
You know, people are dying around him. It's not just a game. It's not just I don't know what's the word I'm looking for here. Reality, basically. He just got that reality check, and for him, you know, he didn't quite process it. And like the kid interaction was good. I like the fact that they added the kid in there to kind of stabilize him and help him realize and learn and put things together, and help kind of put himself back together. And he realized, you know, it's not just a me. I'm not the only person show. I still have to protect people that I love and care for. But there's other ways that I can do it. And he kind of had to make a choice at the end of Iron Man 3. So you see most of his armors being destroyed, and then we kind of also roll right into, very shortly after that, was Civil War.
Yeah.
Which is, again, you know, some conclusions and repercussions from earlier in the Marvel movies. So there's a lot of stuff going on with Tony Stark. There's always a lot of character drama with him, and it's a lot of battle. And if you read into the comic series, he still has a lot of problems with alcoholism. They don't really do a lot of substance abuses in the comic series, but it's kind of intertwined.
Yeah.
So you have a character, you know, he's not always perfect, which is good. I mean, you know, all these superheroes, and they could really just do a whole lot of sideline stories on just what do they do besides ever saving the world? I mean, what do they do on their off time?
And plus, Iron Man has a really big rogues gallery of villains that I would have been interested to see get a little shine, shine on the big screen.
They do. He has a plethora of people. In fact, I wish they would have really done a better job with the Mandarin.
See, this is why I give it a pass, because I know a lot of people didn't like it. Because of the story itself, it made sense. And plus, if you think about it, because I would have liked to see the Mandarin took a Ben Kingsley, the little part that he played as the Mandarin. I was like, okay, he sold it. I was like, okay, but I
liked it. I liked him. I like Kingsley's character in it. I thought it was funny when they finally, you know, did the big reveal.
Yeah.
Then I was kind of also sort of disappointed, you know, until the very end. If you watch the end credits, you'll know what I'm talking about, which makes me kind of wonder, you know, maybe he was just playing around the whole time.
Yeah.
You know, it just kind of leaves some questions out there.
I give it a pass only because of the way the story was set up. Because even if they did bring the Mandarin in, how could they like actually say gave a good reason? as to how he got those rings. Like, it would have just been out of nowhere.
Yeah, you would have had to know the backstory to the Mandarin to even get close to that.
So that's why I give it a pass. Because, like I said, the movie, it wouldn't have made sense for him to be in the movie because you have to have something to support it. And as well as for the story that they did go for, it worked. Now,
yeah, it worked for the story. And then there's, I'm not going to, I was just kind of expecting, the good.
Yeah.
The Mandarin character from the comics, that's what I was kind of looking for. So.
And if they did probably reboot the Iron Man series, which they might do,
I hope to God they don't.
That's probably who they're gonna have him fighting. Be the first person to fight.
See, I would like to see like Mordok, AIM Technologies, which has already been introduced in the movie.
They have
basically Iron Man 3. AIM was introduced. Probably one of the most dangerous creations they ever did, and I would love to see Mordok come online.
I would love to see, and I say the third movie was probably my favorite. And I go backwards. Mine's like 3, 2, then 1. It's not necessarily that I think 3 is better. They all the same to me. Each one has something different in it that I like.
Yeah, each of them did offer quite a bit. I mean, you get a developing Stark throughout the series. His introduction. What happened, he understands. Then you get into dealing with his own personal crisis.
Yeah.
And then he deals with having to deal with the fact that he's now publicly revealed himself, who he is, and the threats that come along with that to people that you care about. That's why most characters wear a mask or keep their identity secret so that the people they are close to or care about can't be used against them.
Yeah.
And he just flat out came out and said, "Hey, I'm here. Come get me." And guess what? He did.
One of the characters I do want to see in the movie, and I'm not sure if this chick represented her character, was Madam Mask. Was the girl that helped? You remember in Iron Man 3, there was that one woman that kind of liked them, but she was with the bad guys.
Yes.
Was she representing Madam Mask, or was that just original some other character?
It just happened to be convenient.
Okay, because I would like to see Madam Mask. I love it when I see a good guy having to deal with like a bad guy, and they have this kind of like emotional thing, like kind of like Batman and Catwoman.
Exactly.
Yeah, I would like to see that.
That's right.
I would definitely like to see that.
Yeah, have something tied into the series, something that, again, the Batman, Catwoman, love-hate relationship,
Yeah.
It would be interesting. Definitely interesting to see how they do that. I was trying to see if there was any more tie-ins with her.
What did you think about Gwyneth Paltrow as Pepper Potts?
A lot of the comics I don't remember. I mean, I knew who she was, but I just don't remember a lot of her and the stories that I did read. Mm-hmm. So I can't really give a plus or minus, but I'm pretty sure that my memory of Pepper Potts, she played the role very well and fell into the role because she was always there, even though he was, playboy, playing around, going off and doing his own thing.
Yeah.
It's just all kind of craziness like that. And I kind of like the way that her character also kind of came along too, especially when she came into 3.
Yeah. That was one of the things I didn't like about 3. You know how in 3 she got infected with that the extremists?
Yes.
I would have loved for her to continue having it. And that'd be something that she would have to deal with, as well as, you know what I'm saying? It'd be something both of them would have to learn to deal with. But in the movie, she got it and she used it, and then I was like, all right, well, we cured her. I'm like, really? That should have been something that she kept. Like, you couldn't cure it or something, or they hadn't found a cure for it yet.
Well, he said he would try to find it. He wasn't guaranteed that he would even find a cure for it.
No, she got cured.
Oh? I thought
I was like, wow. Because, like, when he got the pieces of the metal, the shrapnel away from his heart,
uh-huh,
I was like, again, it was like that would have been something he would just have to dealt with, and that's what I kind of wanted. But then it was like, okay, we cured her and we got the shrapnel out your heart. I was like, wow, he just good to go now.
So what's the whole thing? Why, later on in the Iron Man universe, I actually think one of the versions of his armor is a nanotech.
I heard about that. Yeah.
I was trying to remember. I think this is where Extremis also came around as a virus to get in there, and I was trying to see about I was just trying to find it here somewhere, but he ends up getting that. But that was one of the whole things about making the armor to begin with is the fact that the armor kept him alive. But I am not finding what I'm looking for.
While you're looking for that, I'm gonna ask you because I just came up with this list on Movie Pilot where they were talking about possible characters who could have played Iron Man, and I want to get your opinion on them. First was Tom Cruise.
No, he's too stereotyped. He wouldn't fit the bill.
What about Nicolas Cage?
No, too crazy.
Have you ever seen Justified?
Doesn't ring a bell.
What about what's that movie? One of my favorite. Oh, Live Free, Die Hard.
Okay.
He was the bad guy.
Okay. Let's see here. Pull that up real quick.
Let's see. They got Leonardo DiCaprio.
No.
Clive Owen.
Well, actually, maybe, but I don't think he carries himself as well as he could. He's a maybe. He would be a maybe.
Okay. What about Clive Owen?
I
like Clive Owen, but I don't know. Plus, I think he got too much of his British accent's too heavy.
Well, yeah, but he's also kind of been stuck in a lot of movies that people stick him back with, and that I don't think that would work too well.
Of course, they had to put Hugh Jackman.
No, he's already cloned forever and ever and ever.
Rockwell. Oh, how you gonna put the bat? Really? Okay, the guy that played Justin Hammer and played in the second Iron Man.
I was looking for it real quick. Sam Rockwell.
I'm not sure.
Yeah, wait, where's Stan Rockwell? Why can I not find his face? Oh, really? Is that Coulson?
No, that's the dude that played Justin Hammer. See, my thing is, I like to see.
I don't know, maybe. I don't know.
I was watching this animated movie called Iron Man: Rise of Technowar, and in the movie, because it was Japanese made, so now Marvel's trying to be in the anime and stuff. In the movie, Iron Man has to fight these twins that are like extremely like smarter than him. The suit that the dude had was more advanced than Tony Stark's, which I thought was pretty cool. I'm like, all right, he fought somebody who's as smart as he is. How about we fight somebody that's smarter? It was an interesting concept.
Kind of like Titanium Man, sounds like.
I wouldn't. No, trust me, there's nowhere near no Titanium Man, because when they went anime with it, they did the anime thing with it. It got ridiculous. Like, what was one of the things they did that you see in anime all the time? If there's like a brother and sister, they are like really, really close. And when I say real close, I mean really close. Like, they never want to leave each other, and they want to be joined as one type close. And you like,
oh, freaky, weird close, huh?
Yeah, it went to that point, and I was like, why did you do that?
It's anime.
But like, it was interesting. I think it was what was the bad guy from the first movie? Obadiah.
Obadiah's partner.
Whatever whoever the bad guy was in the first one.
Bridges'
It was
character.
his son. Yeah. In that movie, it was his son that was smarter than Tony Stark, which made it a better.
Wow.
Made a better suit, and that's why I said I thought it was an interesting idea.
Well, you could do it as a revenge thing and always have it in another movie if they ever do
That's
another
how I
Iron
played
Man.
out. But I was like, well, if they would have just kind of Americanized it and actually had somebody that knew what they were doing, they could have made that the fourth Iron Man movie, and it would have been cool. They just had to not with all that extra over the top Japanese stuff. Like, I don't know about Marvel getting over into anime. Some of the stuff I'm fine with, but that was not one of them.
That'd be kind of weird.
And I haven't like me personally, I haven't read like over abundance of Iron Man comics. The few that I did, I didn't really like continue on with the arc, so I didn't know how they left off or anything like that. I'm just going by things that I've read online, as well as the movies and the video games and stuff like that. I don't know if they could recast that character. I don't know who in the hell they could get to play him.
That's the bad thing. You've had how many 7 movies now tied into Robert Downey Jr.'s Iron Man. Well, Chris Evans is going to step down soon too as Captain America. So
yeah, I thought they was going to
how they fix that problem real quick.
Yeah,
they'll do it in the comic book series. But the guy who killed him is not around anymore. He got blowed up.
Yeah, which, and again, that's something I was another interesting aspect. I wanted to see what they were going to go with. Like, what other villains would you like to see? Because I wouldn't mind seeing Titanium Man on the scene either. I think he would be a pretty good. And you said MODOK. I'm also, one thing I didn't like was the whole Iron Patriot. They didn't do nothing with that character. I mean, with
that should have been a continuation of War Machine, basically, but they needed something to give Tony Stark something to sweat about, basically. And then they also kind of used that as a motivational factor in Civil War too, where Tony, was really looking for vengeance, even though it was the Vision who actually got him by accident. But still, Tony kind of carried that blame on the captain and his team. If they hadn't been fighting, he wouldn't have been injured. So
yeah,
it was kind of motivation, basically, to help that story along.
Yeah. Hey, I just read something. I'm looking at the top 20 like greatest villains of Tony's Iron Man, and guess what number 20 is?
Iron Patriot.
Alcohol is a very old enemy of Tony Stark, and I didn't rate him higher because he's not actually a person.
It's true. It's true.
Whoever did that on Comic Vine, you're hilarious. I like that.
It is true. It is one of his greatest enemies. A lot of people's personal enemies. Period.
Yeah.
It's a lot of stuff there. There's a lot of, I think that, originally it was Cold War era, but then it kind of came along to, Iron Man kind of faded out. You didn't see a lot of Iron Man comics. I mean, they still made them, but they just weren't a very popular comic. And now, of course, with Marvel bringing him back to the big screen, here he comes again. And you got there's a pretty good line of known bad guys, and even some are stupid, some are just off the side, characters, and then there's other ones that are out there that we know and seen, like Venom is listed as one of his enemies. Ultron is listed one of the enemies. War Machine, depending on which War Machine. This one was the this was a bad guy though. He rebuilt the War Machine armor. There's a lot of characters in there, and if you ever read Secret Wars, they bring most of the enemies of all the bad guys together on a planet. So, I mean, a lot of people will probably remember the ones we've talked about most commonly. The Mandarin being one of this, probably the most known ones, Moradok, a few others in that group of people. So I would like to see them start getting away. I mean, I know a lot of people like me like want to say, "Oh, the Mandarin's coming. I want to see the Mandarin and use his abilities as the Mandarin." But as the story was changed, again, it worked.
Yeah.
But you want to bring in some of these characters.
Yeah.
You want to bring in obscure characters that a lot of people hadn't even. That's the thing with the movies; they can bring in some obscure character
and make them relevant.
And make them relevant to the story somehow, some way, and people will go with it. The people who have kept up with the storylines will be like, "Oh man, I can't believe you brought Spaghetti Man in there. Why is he in there? What's he gonna do? Spaghetti Man. Geez, couldn't they pick somebody else?"
All right. With the movies, which villain did you like the most? Did you like Obadiah? Did you like whatever that one guy name was, Whiplash character, Justin Hammer? Or did you like Audrey Killian?
Well, Killian was the more developed of the bad guys. He was the one who had personal vendetta and a reason and a why.
Mm-hmm.
Of everything that happened to him and what he did and what he created, AIM and all that good stuff. I think out of the bad guys, he was probably the most vicious, but he was also had a lot of story backing him. Obadiah comes in as a business partner who's trying to keep the business, and just let Tony go philandering around while he does all the dirty work.
Yeah.
And when Tony becomes obsolete, he tries to get rid of him, and things just kind of go against him at that point.
Yeah.
Which is worse, the enemy that you know, the enemy that you know better,
Yeah. Okay.
Whiplash was interesting. He had a personal thing against Tony's dad. Mm-hmm. About the arc reactor, but I mean, it just didn't go for me. I mean, he looked kind of cool and stuff, but
yeah, there wasn't really nothing to his character.
The story was, I don't want to say the story was weak. It wasn't memorable. I mean, yes, it brought in War Machine, freaking sweet, but that's all it brought. It didn't bring any more to the plate. So I mean,
it would have been better had they done more with Vanko. Vanko, I think his name was.
Yeah, if they had developed it a little bit more, put some more background in there, something, to develop him. I mean, he was cool and it was great and it was neat, but it wasn't a memorable storyline. I mean, I remember 1 much better than I remember 2.
I just remember
3 way better than I remember 1.
I just remember
because
2.
The bad guy.
That was it.
The one I thought stuck with me the most because it was the first time you got to see it. It's just like the first time you see Optimus Prime in the Transformers, you're like, wow. And then you see Tony put the armor on and his, all the bad things happen to him while he's trying to build the armor and why he's building it. And that's why that movie, I think the first one sticks with me a lot.
Yeah.
But the bad guy in the third one sticks with me the most.
Yeah. I can understand that. I did like him. And it was interesting seeing Tony have to fight a character that wasn't technology based, but was actually still a threat.
He, and it was personal. I mean, that guy had a personal vendetta against him. He was trying to, get Tony to come on board with him about something that he thought was so important, and he was going to kill himself. And then he had a realization. And he went with that realization, and that's what made him even more of a dangerous character. It wasn't just like he got shunned and just walked off. He got shunned, figured out what it was, made something badass, and came back for revenge.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And I liked he was charismatic too.
Exactly.
I did like that. That was one of my favorite things about his character. Like he
didn't come in there all brooding and I'm going to blow you up and take you out. He wasn't one of those right in your face people. His was everything behind the scenes. Had set up this elaborate setup, had a lot of planning involved. He's like one of them supervillains. He knew what he was doing. Had to think outside the box and get stuff done to get Tony, pretty much grounded and blamed for everything. So yes, I think I definitely like that. Even though, even at the end, how he was, you thought you got rid of him. He just kept coming and kept coming and kept coming. It's personal. So, and then even took extra steps on revenge just to make sure Pepper was all messed up. So, There was a lot of thought process in there, and I that's why I really liked that one. And then, of course, we saw a lot of the variant armors too, which was really cool.
I was looking at some of his armors, and some I think are stupid, and some I think are actually pretty cool. We have the anti-Magneto suit.
Yeah.
So it's not made of metal, which I think that's pretty cool. It was featured during the Avengers versus X-Men arc, which I have been wanting to read that. There's the Thor Buster armor. I think it's kind of stupid, but hey. The Phoenix Killer armor. I hope this ain't got nothing to do with the Phoenix. It does. No. Never mind. Stupid. The Hulk Buster, awesome. I could deal with that. They have one for anti-Transformers. That's yeah. They did have an Avengers Transformers crossover. Okay. And they had a Galactus Buster armor. I don't know about that.
I don't think that's gonna work too well.
I mean, it looks cool, but I don't know. And it's big too. I don't know about that one. I know Iron Man always builds suits for different things, and it goes back to us talking about like Batman, because Batman has a suit or some kind of equipment adapt for each one of his villains.
Well, Batman, I was watching something the other day, and I cannot remember what it was at the moment, and it talked about Batman had a plan for everyone.
Yeah.
And if any of the Justice League ever went against him or went rogue, he had a way to get rid of them. Everyone.
They had that movie Justice League Doom, where some bad guys got a hold of that information and they used it against the Justice League, and almost beat them too.
Yeah, some crazy stuff. This paranoia, you know, he's sued to trust you. He has a paranoia about everybody. Paranoia almost ended up wiping them all out. Wow, I didn't even know that armor even existed. Some pretty cool looking ones in there.
I still say one of my favorite armors is probably the Mark III, as well as the War Machine armor.
Yeah, definitely like War Machine armor. And who's the other one? Mark II, Mark III, yes, the classical. There's some where he went like, instead of the gold, he also went to a silver type style. And a few of these armors where the main body is not gold, but it's silver, and either gold or silver and red.
I think I know what you're talking about. That was actually a nice looking one. It really was.
And then a few of the armors, like he upgraded the Hulkbuster armor twice.
Yeah.
Which was pretty freaking sweet in the movie, though. I gotta say, that was pretty badass. When he brought the Hulkbuster armor out, and they're just freaking leveling buildings, and he's going toe to toe with the Hulk. Although I think the Hulk, though, pretty much should have wiped him off the face of the earth.
I'll tell anyone that is the best. That's not only one of the MCU's best fights. It's one of the Hulk's best. No, it is the Hulk's best fight in the movies.
Yeah, he still should have got his butt beat.
I was thinking about some of the different story arcs that I wouldn't mind seeing them adapt to movies. Of course, we saw the Civil War. It was different from the comics, but it was still pretty good. I would like for them to explore like the Armored Wars in a movie, because I have heard about that. The Stark Tech end up kind of. I believe this is what it is. Like, people got a hold of his information on how to make his technology. So he had to go find it, find all the information and destroy it. I think that was it. And I was actually interested in seeing that in the movie. I thought the second movie kind of addressed that a little bit, but not really.
Well, yeah, it's stuff stashed everywhere too.
Yeah,
that's what it was. He's got those Stark hidey holes orbiting the Earth. He's got Stark hidey holes in various cities across the world. So, you know, anywhere he goes. Plus, he usually has a traveling armor too, which you saw in the second movie, where he had the briefcase that was basically the armor.
That was pretty cool. Now we'll give the movies that they did a great job with the technology and how he could utilize it through like all these different means and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
In Civil War, when he had brought that fist thing up, I think the movies have because I don't remember seeing, even when the stuff that I've read in the comics, I've never seen them utilize the suits in the movies the way they did in the, I said it backwards. I've never seen them utilize the suits in the comics like they do in the movies.
No, you actually get the live action, and it's so much more impressive.
Especially like how it comes off and how it can like what you just said about the second movie when he did it with the briefcase.
Yeah, or even in the Avengers movie when he gets thrown out the window by Loki, and
yeah,
Jarvis sends out the armor to him and integrates it within a few feet of him hitting the ground.
Yeah.
You know, he's always had some kind of armor. And then you have what we were talking earlier. We talked about Extremis.
Yeah.
And he has the Extremis armor, which actually is in his blood or in his bones, and is a nanite technology that comes out and forms on him as an armor too.
I did remember hearing about that, and I was interested in seeing how that was going to go. I would have liked to see that been implemented into the movie as a possible, like a future storyline, but you know, he's not going to play Iron Man forever. So there's that. I was going to say, oh, did you ever watch the cartoon?
I've seen many versions of the cartoon.
I only remember the original. The one was like, I am Iron Man.
It's that one where he's flying and the armor comes onto him and starts forming. I don't jumping through the air or some crap. Almost like an anime style.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
Because there's been several, versions of the Iron Man.
I remember seeing that. I remember seeing that cartoon because that was one of the things that I did kind of grow up on. And I did like the way the cartoon
there was like
did go.
There was like an animated series from like 94 to 96, which was like part of the Marvel Action Hour.
Yeah.
They had like the Fantastic Four, I think Thor and Iron Man, kind of all different stories each week. They had
here you go. Oh man, I'm thinking they was gonna do this the whole song, man. Gosh.
Ruined your day.
That did ruin my day, but that's all right. It makes me want to go back and go rewatch it because when I started watching it again, I think the last episode it was Madam Mask that I end up watching. I think that I hadn't seen the new Iron Man series yet. Is it any good?
Well, there was a CGI version that came out. I think that was 2009. I think 2010, 2009.
Yeah,
somewhere in there.
Yeah, Iron Man Armored Adventures. Yeah.
And then they had I think another series somewhere in there also. I think it was an Avengers style though, because I remember seeing one of the episodes at the mansion, the Avengers mansion in Manhattan.
Yeah, okay.
And Ultron or something was breaking into it or something like that. Ultron was using like a nanotechnology or something to mess with them.
I think it was Iron Man. No, not Iron Man. Avengers Assemble.
I think so. It sounds right. And I caught a few episodes of that. You know, I've had TV off and on for many, many years. So it's like, you know, I'll find something on the internet and I'll go watch it and then kind of fade off. And then I'll have TV for a while. So I'll start recording it and then kind of fade off.
I found it. Here you go. Iron Man. Hey, that's my jam. I'm going to go back and watch that again. Bring me back to my childhood.
So you're going to be up all night watching Iron Man episodes.
I still want to see the Armored Adventures. I haven't. Like I said, I did play the game that was based off, I think, the second movie. I think. And you did get to fly around and all of that.
The flying's pretty cool. The version
Yeah.
I saw on the PlayStation 3 was pretty freaking sweet.
Yeah.
It had a lot of because actually I think they also did I think it was a Spider-Man release very shortly after that. I think it was. I think it was a Spider-Man game that came on after that because I think they used the same modeling program to do it because the characters, I mean, the detail on them looked pretty cool.
Possibly the Amazing Spider-Man movies.
Yeah,
They did
probably the kickoff of that because it was about the same time frame. So, but yeah, the flying around looked pretty cool because you know, just like in a TV show or in the movies, you see him fly up and he put his hands up and he kind of hovers and he would use the repulsors and stuff. And I think he had a couple extra specialty weapons. I think like those mini missiles that come out of his shoulder pads.
I did, like I said, I did play a little bit of that, and I thought it was pretty cool. When it comes, if they did upgrade that and come up with another Iron Man game, what they need to do is make it to where you can, because everybody's going to want to fly, especially because it's Iron Man.
It's fun.
And let us be able to put RPG elements into it to where we can kind of customize the suit, not only with the weaponry, but like the actual armor customization too.
Oh yeah. It had Jarvis to it too. Jarvis would talk to you.
Yeah, that'd be pretty cool.
I forgot about that because I was just reading about the game here real quick, and I remember Jarvis talking because he would say, "I don't think that's a good idea," or "You have an incoming, you know, something." You know, it was not a main play character, but it was pretty freaking cool though.
Yeah. Would you like? Do you think it'd be a good idea if you could play it like kind of first person, and kind of see it from his perspective with the mask, like have like a targeting hood and all of that good stuff?
I would play a game like that. Actually, you know what would be really cool? Is put that in a VR game.
I don't know, man. I like the idea of virtual reality, but there have been very few like physically like challenging games that you can use with VR and it be any good.
Well, just think about it though. I mean, you would actually see what he would see through the visor, and your hands could control whatever. And if you could even do voice control on it, which I think some of the games do offer that would be pretty freaking cool.
I think
that would be the only thing that would be really hard to do would be the flying part. You know, because you look like an idiot in your house. You know.
I think if they did do something like that, it would have to be one of those motion, the whole motion body.
Well, you know, that would make more sense where you could do the flying because if you put your hands or whatever in a position to fly, and it would feel like you're raising up.
Yeah,
and you could take around. Yeah, that would be cool too.
Yeah, like that would probably be one of the few exceptions.
But that would be pretty cool though, just to kind of, you know, because I've always really liked when you see the interface on his face and you see all the crap going on, and he swipes the screen to go to a tactical mode, or the screen goes back to a navigational type thing. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, I would not
agree with that.
I wouldn't mind playing, checking out and playing one of those like that, because it does. I would at least like to have the option, because Iron Man is like one of those games. Could be a potential good game like that. I play Halo, Call of Duty. I done played Spider-Man. And it'd be pretty cool to be able to actually fly in the game, and you can actually just see through the eyes of the character rather than the whole third person.
Yeah, I've seen a few games where you swap between both.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes that can be a little confusing, but sometimes it helps though, because you can't really. I think it's almost kind of like cheating though. You know, if you're doing FPS and you see a guy, but you're not really sure how to get him, and then you go to the outside view and you can say, okay, well, if I bounce it off of there and do that, I can do that. You know, and it's like,
and
it's cool to see it.
Yeah.
But it's sure almost darn cheating.
I mean, some people like third person and some people like first person. Sometimes because I have Elder Scrolls and I have Fallout, and sometimes I try to go through the game with third person, and then sometimes I try to play the whole game. It's first person, but it does change the gaming dynamic. Like I said, I wouldn't mind seeing an Iron Man game like that. Now that we're talking about it, if I can get my hands on an Iron Man game, I will. I'll try to go ahead and try to play it and beat it. Because when I did play it, you got freedom. You can fly around. You got the systems. I'm sure you got to be able to upgrade stuff. I just never got to that point. And I wouldn't mind seeing like being able to utilize like tactical like I could control like a units and stuff because he has like more than one, or being able to get any of the other suits. Like say if I want to be the Hulk Buster or something.
Oh yeah, armor swapping.
Yeah, like I wouldn't mind seeing that. I definitely got to come back and talk about, hey, we should do a new Iron Man. Here's some of my favorite ideas.
Listen to me, people. Listen to me well. Make this game happen.
Oh, I want to ask you one more thing before we close out because it's about that time. If they decided they wanted to bring in Fing Fang Foom, would you accept that?
That's that dragon-looking character.
Yeah.
I don't really see a good place for that.
Yes, a bit too far-fetched right now.
That's kind of, it's a comic, okay, but when we're talking TV or a movie adaptation, I really don't foresee that happening very well.
Mm-hmm.
I would rather see something a little more cooler. Or
the only way I can see them
Green Dragon to me is just, I don't think it would work very well.
The only way I can
as
see
a bad guy
is probably through Doctor Strange.
Now, if you want to go to the mystical side, that could work.
Okay.
Iron Man, that's the thing. You have the physical world and you have the mystical world. And with Doctor Strange coming out last year, we've now been introduced to the mystical world of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
And being that the dragon would be, I would consider a mystical creature or a supernatural type element in the series. If they were to bring an Iron Man movie into the movie MCU, it would have to be a Doctor Strange type thing.
Yeah.
Maybe conjunction with Iron Man or something else. I mean, there's got to be an anchor point somewhere in there. But as a mystical on a regular creature, I don't think they would work with just a plain Iron Man that as an enemy. No.
Okay.
It's going to have to be a joint effort into that somewhere.
Yeah, I can see that.
And we're going to see a lot more Doctor Strange coming up here in Infinity War. Because I think we're going to see a lot of different elements happen in that movie. Some on the supernatural, because Thanos' squeeze is Lady Death. That's who he basically is trying to impress, is Lady Death. So we'll see a lot of crazy stuff happen in Infinity War. I think right now they're at 50-something characters.
I'm very interested to see how they're going to play this.
There's a lot of people who, well, technically everybody dies in Infinity War, so it will be interesting to see how everything goes along. But they could even get rid of Captain America, and if Chris Evans wants to punch out, this is probably his time to do it.
Yeah.
I mean, that could be one way of getting rid of Chris Evans if they wanted to. I don't think so. I think he still likes playing it, but I think the Captain America's. We've already gotten 3 movies, plus Civil War 1 and 2 coming, and then Infinity War 1 and 2, and I think he'll be done.
Yeah. We're gonna with that, we're gonna leave it right here. We hope you guys enjoyed our conversation about Iron Man, Tony Stark, the man behind the plan in the Marvel universe. Really a fan favorite of both ours. He's a great, likable, and funny character. He does have his emotional problems, but don't we all? So in the comment section below, let us know, what did you think about our talking points? Although we were all over the place. What did you think about? I mean, and you know what? I need to get on game when it comes to reading some of these comics so I can have more content to bring to it. And I'm mad at myself. But then again, I work 2 jobs. And in fact,
it's very hard to kind of keep up on subjects. Yeah. I mean, I've got some age on you, so I do have a little bit of time in the comics as a kid, so and a good memory about comics. So
maybe if we would start doing this, if we were like, I don't know, like 20 or something. But hey, it's life. But anyways, guys, let us know in the comment section below what you think about the video, and also hit the like, share, subscribe, and notification button to get the best of this channel. And I guess without further ado, me and Ken are signing out.